Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. So I'm filming this the day before the equinox, and of course we're already feeling the eclipse portal. We're already in this really powerful energy. Yeah, there's so much that came through for me this weekend. A lot of synchronicities, a lot of synchronicities, and I'm kind of tempted to go into them all. But I think what I'm going to do is just dive into the cards and let them kind of guide me in what to say, what's most relevant, and yeah, what's most relevant to the collective and what's the most important thing to say. So the moon is in Cancer, so I'm a Capricorn, whatever the moon's in Cancer. Maybe everybody feels this way, probably, but maybe it hits me more. It's the only moon that I can be like, oh my God, the moon's in Cancer, isn't it? You know, I just feel a certain way. Like I'm kind of really inward. I'm also really intuitive. And again, I've had like all weekend long has been like a kind of channely type of weekend. So this will either be a reading that's like really like, or I'm going to interrupt myself a million times and never finish a thought, and you're going to have to be like super telepathic. So, which I think that probably a lot of you, if not all of you, are. So anyway, let's dive in. Let's dive in these powerful, powerful energies. Yes, exactly. Oh my God, lizard spirit, dream the world into being. Okay, so that's 8, 9, 10, 11 card. 11 card, which is also that portal card, walking through that portal. Okay, so a lot of what came through for me this weekend, let's just say that the final result of what came through this weekend was really around harnessing our power to create our realities. And so it was, again, I had mentioned this woman that I recently connected with in the last reading, but she had posted something like right in that exact moment when this was all coming through for me and lining up. It was just another one of those synchronicities, but it was something like this was on Facebook. And so most of you that see these are on Facebook, actually. But so it was this like gorgeous photo of this like really empowered woman. She has her arm like draped around this like Black Panther, and it was like, I'm only focusing on that which I want to manifest, or that which I'm intending to manifest, or something like that. And so that's the thing. It's like really, really, and so it's interesting because, so for me, like the last 2 years, I'd say a little bit over 2 years, I got really, really serious about my thoughts and my focus and my mind and my beliefs and what I would say. And I was like retraining my mind, anytime I would go into kind of like a fear-based thing, or I'd get sucked into some, mind control manipulation, which is completely normalized in our society. Everybody else is believing these things, but I was pulling myself out of that. I would say, like, that's not the timeline I'm choosing to give my energy to anymore. That's not the timeline I'm choosing to create, and then I would reaffirm, so it's been like this process of like rewiring my neural pathways until this could become my default mode of being. And something happened this weekend where, so there were all these analogies with blood, blood, flow, Hawaii, which is the heart center, and they were all separate. Like I didn't know what any of them meant until they all kind of came together and showed this picture. Well, the blood, the red, the heart, it's we're alive. It's our life force. It's our will. It's our, our divinity. It's our birthright, right? So, Judith Knutzel, I don't know how you say her name. You might follow her, but she was talking about, it was really amazing because it was so synchronistic for me, because there was so much going on with the heart and the arteries and the blood flow. Like between me and like 3 of my friends, we all had some sort of synchronicity with heart and blood and flow and stagnancy or like purifying and this type of thing. Okay. And so then she's talking about, this like seismic activity in the Pacific Ocean and how the crystalline grid, and so the Pacific Ocean, that's right there by the heart center, Hawaii, the heart chakra center of our earth. She was talking about the arteries of the crystalline grid, the arteries of the earth clearing out, becoming cleared. Okay. So that's exactly what I was feeling in my body, and in the symbolism with my friends, and with the heart and the arteries and the blood and the flow. And so it was like, it just felt like this collective movement that a lot of us were doing with the earth. And again, all that we've been talking about in the last readings about clearing out really old stuff, really old calcified stuff that we couldn't get to before, but now it being time. Okay. So now it being time. So again, talking about this, like creating our realities, and how like for 2 years I've been like making the stronger neural pathway, right? And now it being a time where it is, it's like the puzzle pieces all came in where you know how sometimes it's like you tune into something, you tune into it, whether it's a parallel life or an aspect of yourself, or higher self of somebody else, or whatever it is you're tuning into. But there can still be veils of like lack or victim or separation, or there's still some conditioning in there that kind of like it kind of dilutes the channel, right? It kind of like clouds it up, or fogs it up, or it's like you can still feel the connection to it, but there's just stuff in the way. I felt like this weekend, and again with that symbolism of the the clearing of the the arteries, the clearing of your life force center, and just those pathways out being clear, where there was like nothing in between, that nothing in between us and that which we're perceiving, where our prayers, our intentions, our desires, our commands, whatever words you want to use for that, are so immediate. So I had many examples this weekend where for example, I was dancing, and so I have all this like fascia issue, because I spent so much of my life in like tension and like feeling really unsafe, and so I've been working with my fascia, and well, actually it started this weekend where just telling it like, okay, we're safe now and you can relax, and just commanding the body. And so I was dancing last Thursday, and which is interesting, because there was a synchronicity with Hawaii in that too, where before all this stuff with the heart and the heart chakra, this woman had just gotten back from Hawaii, and like I was the first person there, and so I was just like sitting in the room, and I was just like conjuring, just to like bring energy in for myself and others. And I was the mountains and the desert and just everything that I love, and the felines and the dolphins and the whales, and I kept saying the ocean, like I said the ocean like many times. I'm like, oh, I already said the ocean, and then she comes and she says, oh, this whole playlist is around the ocean and around Hawaii and the codes of Hawaii. And so I thought, oh my God, I picked up on that. Okay, so dancing to the ocean and the water. And so I did a lot of like slow like stretching, which really gets my fascia going, because the stretching can put things into spasm. So anyway, but bringing in another synchronicity. Okay, but so I had this like knot, right in my wing, right in my wing spot, and it was like debilitating, and it came on really fast. And it's like, again, that clear channel where I just knew, I didn't have to sit there and suffer, like, whatever, I just knew to tell it to relax. I just told it, I just used my consciousness to tell it to relax. Just, relax, and you don't have to be so tight, and it's okay. And within a minute, it relaxed. Like, it didn't completely go away, but the spasm relaxed, where I wasn't in pain anymore. So I did that basically all weekend long, where like every little issue that I had, it was just my default mode was to command and pray and open space and focus the energy, and then it would like immediately move. I mean, there were like countless examples of this. Okay. So just anyway, coming back to this, dream your world into being, but really we're creating it. We're directing. We're walking through that portal. The 11, that's the open channel as well, where it's like it's open. There's nothing between us. All we have to do is remember to ask, remember to intend, remember to pray. And I've been doing this for others too, like people that I'm holding space for, like my son, for example. There are certain issues, like where he lives, and and some of these things. So I was helping in the physical, and I was like doing everything I could to kind of like correct mistakes or anticipate mistakes, and everything was like moving chess pieces out on the board. And finally this weekend, it was like, oh my God, just like pray for a solution, and immediately it came. So then I did another one, and immediately it came. So it's this like this rocketing of intention and prayer, but just working our consciousness and knowing that our consciousness affects our reality. So okay, 8 minutes on one card, but that was okay. So let's see what else comes up around that. Okay, Page of Earth and Four of Earths. Okay, so here this message keeps coming up in every single reading. It's like we're stabilizing. Fours, number of stability. We're stabilizing on this new path. Okay, so again, this is very new. It's very new. It's just been a few weeks, a month, and again, every week we get more and more stable on it. The more stable we get, the more command we have. The more command we have, the more we can play. Again, we helped create the playground. Now we're testing out the slide. We're like, oh right, I can use my consciousness, and I can use my my will and my focus, my life force. And here we are coming into Aries season as well, right? The equinox, where everything is kind of balanced, your light and your dark. spark. It's like that portal, that 0 point field into creation. You know, it's a really, really, really powerful time to harness these energies. And so I was meditating this morning, and because I'm kind of tuned in right now, right? There were images that were coming right away, and so one of them was like, it was neural pathways. It was like I just knew that they were, because I see them in sessions a lot too, like where they're just there's a certain quality and energy to them. I knew them to be neural pathways, and they were just like just reconfiguring. So I feel like that's something that's going on for a lot of us, because we are again stabilizing more into this into these higher frequencies and into this new realm. The stabilization is that those neural pathways are starting to again, like what I was saying with this for the past 2 years, they're starting to become the dominant pathway, where it's our default mode. Oh, issue, pray, or intend, or command, or ask, or know that there's a solution. Like you don't get cogged up on the 3D ways of doing things. You work the magic, because that's what this realm is. And as we're stabilizing, we're getting better at this. Okay. So anyway, I completely lost my train of thought. I thought that might be happening today. That is okay, but what was it? The life force, I don't know. I'm going to move on. It'll come back to me if it needs to. Okay, so stabilizing on the new path, neural pathway, yes. So the meditation, the other thing that was happening is there were like these two streams, and one was coming in from the left. This is my left, and so and the other one was coming in from the right, and so they were coming in at the exact same motion, and they were like merging with each other and going through each other. So this one was really faint and like an echo, like it was like almost like it was like dying off. So later I was like, oh, it's like the neural pathways, right? But this one was really strong, and it was really fleshed out. It had a lot of density, not in dense as in lower frequency, but form. It had more form to it. And it was just more fleshed out, more solid. It was stronger, okay? Had more energy and more power to it. So this one was coming. They were coming at the same exact speed, and they were coming into each other. And it was almost really uncomfortable. Like I kind of felt like, oh, like this energy of like, and I imagine a lot of us are feeling this, where there are all these different, like everything's collapsing back into one space, okay? So I'm feeling this in terms of like parallel lifetimes as well. Again, the clearing of the arteries, right? The clearing of the channels, where I've always really connected with the Fey realm. So when I was young, and with nature, right? But I was always the portals. So when I was young, I would play, and I realized I was playing in the astral, but there were all these like beings and stuff, and I was playing with them, and there were all these different dimensions, and I would run around, and it's like I entered into portals, but I didn't know it. I didn't know that I was. And then as I got older, like I was the type of person that would like go to a social gathering and like go sit next to a plant and be like, okay, it like wasn't the kids or the animals, although that were too. It certainly wasn't the people. It was the plants. It's like I just feel the elementals. I feel that other realm. And so, but often it would translate to me as sadness, where I'd be like, oh, like I know I would sit with nature, and I would feel this energy, and I'd just be like, I want to get closer, like I want to go through it, I want to see them, I want to talk to them. But what I didn't realize is that I was. The fact that I could feel it meant that I was. And so again, like what I was talking about, like the clouds in the channel, it was like I was viewing through a mindset of, I couldn't get it going at first. I was a little cloggy, but now, speaking of uncloggy, but now it's like flowing, because it was just like so much to say. I'm like, how do I say all this? So anyway, it's like, it was kind of clogged up with lack or like separation. But now when I connect with nature, or I feel, and a lot of us do, right? It's so natural you can almost miss it. And especially if you have a connection to the elemental or to the Fey realm, or you have what I've been feeling recently is like it's a parallel life. Like there's a part of me that is there. So when I'm feeling that energy, it's like I'm feeling myself on the other side, like, hey, like, wow, we're so close, and like that longing for self or that longing for other, it's like, it's right there. So instead of viewing it as something lacking, it's a complete perspective flip, where you view it as a union and a reunion, right? And so with things being unclogged, it's like that separation interpretation is no longer there, and all that's left is unity. Okay, so these two streams coming towards each other, it's like this being probably the lack separation, the lower, that's just kind of losing its energy. It was very faint. It was very kind of like quiet, and this one coming in really, really strong, but merging with it like structured water, where they just kind of diffused and not diffused, they merged and became one. But this one restructured, just like the neural pathways, like restructuring everything into that dominant pathway where everything is embraced. Okay, and so anyway, let's see what this card is. Oh, the Tower. Okay, interesting. Wow. So this was this coming up? No, this was in a personal reading, private reading. So, oh, and I always forget to say, if you would like a private reading, a personal reading, please message me. You can, if you're watching on YouTube, you can just comment, and I can give you my email or message on Facebook. Or if you're in town, I'm going to be reading at Mystic on Thursdays. So I think this is like the first time in like 4 months I remembered to say that in a reading, but I remembered. Okay, so yeah, this came up in a personal reading, and in this exact same deck. But what's beautiful, speaking of nature and nature portals, it's like, you know, here's the epiphany. Here's like the cracking open of something where what has been inaccessible to us before is not. It's like the lightning strike. Is there something going on with Uranus? I feel like maybe there is something going on with Uranus, but this is a very Uranus-like energy, okay, where it's like the lightning strike and it just like changes everything. So this is also sort of like the energy of the eclipses too, where they come in, and it's just like, again, that musical chairs. But I'm not really feeling it that way so much in this moment. I'm feeling it like a cracking open, where all of a sudden, again, it's like the dams. You know, the dams have busted open, and there's no longer blockages, you know, where what was just exactly what I was talking about, what was clogged, you know, you can now see, and you can see in a way that you couldn't before. And what we're seeing is this unity, you know, the unity of this new path, you know. And again, we're new on it, but we're starting to stabilize, and it's like the truth of reality, the light of the truth of the unity, and the accessibility, again, the accessibility of our consciousness, and of all the realms, you know, all of our aspects, all of our parallels, like, again, right there, like, hey, I'm right here. I've been waiting for you to like realize that this is a celebration, and to pull me through, you know, and to just like joyfully live with me, because we can do so much together. That was one of the things that happened for me when I was down at the ranch this weekend. I tend to the animals with my son, and my son, he's just kind of like lacking some empathy or attunement to animals, and it's connected to his own wounding and trauma as a boy, growing up, because we were separated, and he just had a lot of like neglect, and like his needs weren't really tended to or noticed or valued, or they were even like dismissed, right? So it's hard for him to like really care about or tune into the needs of like what he sees as just, you know, like food, or, you know, like, you know, ranch animals or whatever. And I'm always the one that's like, hey, you know, like, well, they need, you know, like ducks need to swim in water. And, you know, I'm always just kind of like, that was what I was talking about, where I'm like moving pieces around, like always trying to make it better. But, you know, and then just kind of like praying to the guardians of the animals, like help him to see, like help him to hear, help him to hear you, like help him to connect. And there's one special little lamb that I connected with down there, and I met him in the astral, and he's like this Agarthian being. His fleece is like a lot darker, like where he's actually from, but he came, and he's the one that, like, if you follow me on Facebook, then you might have noticed, you might have seen this post about this little lammy. I named him Marshmallow, and they accidentally sold his mom, because again, nobody there is really like attuned, you know, they didn't know. So he's kind of displaced, but he also has a role there. He has a role there energetically, and he's part of, you know, what I was shown is that he's part of what's like helping my son bridge, you know, my son bridge. So again, it's like this, like bridging this, like, you know, the bridging with beyond, bridging with the beyond, and calling it forth, you know, calling it forth, and allowing ourselves to access it, because it's right there, and the channels are clear. I hope I'm making sense. I trust I am, at least to some people. And so, all right, let me pull some more here. Yeah, the Tower card is really coming through like an opening, like a, like that which, all the things that can flood in now, It's not really like a cracking open. It's almost like just an opening. An opening has happened through all of our work, and a lot of us were doing a lot of really deep clearing and unification, and yeah, actually clearing the last many weeks. Eruption, you know, this was like going on a while ago, where a lot of us were having a lot of anger, or a lot of like triggers, or a lot of stuff from our past, and then clearing us out. Whereas right now it's kind of presenting, especially because in this deck, it's, you know, it's so beautiful with the animals. I mean, it is kind of cracking open their tree. but it's still like a nature thing where it's like it's just the next step. The next step is this like receiving all these higher energies. So okay, pull another one here. God, the energies right now. Okay, so we get quite a few. So okay, Ace of Cups, Ten of Swords, the Empress, and Justice. Wow, yeah. So okay, so the Ace of Cups. So this is very much like the channel card, the open channel. This always represents to me, you know, just you're open to everything. It's interesting. What is that on her neck? It's just interesting, these lines on her neck. I also chose to wear this. I haven't worn this in years. I chose to wear this necklace today, and it kind of reminds me like the way these lines are. Anyway, I always notice patterns. Sometimes they don't mean anything, but okay, so yeah, just the open channel. What is on her chin? There's something really highlighting her neck. There's something really highlighting her neck and the throat and the voice and the speaking and the channeling. Okay, so yes, the speaking, exactly, because how do we bring our dreams into reality? It's like, you know, they're out here, you know, they're out here in the liminal space, in the astral field, in our imaginative realm. How do we focus them down into manifestation? We need to give them a container or a focus, which is that prayer, or is that intention, or that affirmation, or that calling, or that asking, or that intending, or that, you know, that invocation, or, you know, whatever it is, and speaking it out loud. And then it's so interesting because, again, like this almost looks like wings to me in the camera. So there's like this whole thing with her neck, but then the cup is right underneath it, where she's holding it right here, where it's like she speaks it and then she immediately has it. She speaks it and immediately falls into her cup, which is her offering, which is her heart, which is over her heart. Okay, so there's the red as well, that blood, that life force. We use our life force and our will to command our realities, to speak our desires, to utilize our consciousness and our divinity and our connection to all that is, to speak whatever it is that we want. Ask and you shall receive, right? And here it falls into her cup, into your cup that you're holding. You know, so this clear channel. What's interesting is the next card that comes out is the Ten of Swords. But what's really interesting about the Ten of Swords in this deck that always highlights to me, first of all, you know, they're all, what is this, like a 30-point stag or something? You know, it's like, this is an elder, this is an ancient being, you know, and it's, the Ten of Swords is often, you're hunched over and all these swords in your back, and it's just like killing you, and it's like you're in so much suffering and pain. But he's already dead. You know, he's already had his he's already gone through that cycle. He's already completed that cycle of suffering. You know, it's like he's on the other side of it now. You know, he's on the other side, and he gained so much wisdom in that suffering. And it's like now, you know, he's been composted. The buzzards came, they cleaned him up. You know, it was like that cycle of life. You know, it's like this is how he has this channel. You know, he went through his tower moments. His seed was cracked. You know, he fell apart. You know, his skin got eaten. I have so many chills, right? You were eaten by, you know, the buzzard, the vulture. You know, it came and devoured you, and you were reborn, into your channeling of your divine self, your channeling of all that is at your disposal. Okay, it comes out with the Empress, which is, and Justice. Okay, so wow, look at her in this deck. Oh my God, I don't think I ever got, these are new decks, and I don't look at them before I get them. I discover them as I go, because that's where the energy is. I can match the energy. But look at her, she's so lit up, she's so full of light. This is the most gorgeous Empress card of all my decks. Wow. Sorry, I'm being so selfish here. Let me look at it through the camera. Oh my gosh. And this deck is so earthy. Like, she's so encased with the earth. You know, she's so one. She's not up in the air. Well, the Empress is not up in the air. The Empress is down on the earth in her manifestation power. She has everything. So it's just everything that we're talking about, you know, with this, where she's bringing it down. She knows how to bring it down, but she's also full of light. In her womb, her creative center, she's full of light, and she's holding it. She's holding it, and she's conjuring. You know, she's conjuring with her intention. Look at her crown chakra; it's so lit up, and she has her hand. Her hand is on her leg. Okay, her hand is on her leg near her root, but her other hand is on her sacral, her womb. So it's like she's commanding, she's intending, she's bringing it down, she's birthing it. She's obviously pregnant, but she's birthing this onto this realm, bringing her light down, bringing the light of her consciousness, choosing what she wants, which is her birthright in her power, okay? And coming out with the Justice card. So this is a really sweet card too. Wow, look at her. She has such innocence and wisdom at the same time. Such innocence and purity and wisdom at the same time. And so there, the scales are balanced. It's like, again, that, and look at her horns. Wow. These are really amazing cards. And her third eye is all lit up, and her, her ears, her hearing. So it's like she's just in complete alignment. So this is another message of that flow, that channel, again, that 11, the 11 card of just everything. And even 4 being the stability. It's like we're stable enough to be that channel, to bring it through and to affect the earth and our hologram, and as we affect our hologram, we link up with everybody else that is also on the cutting edge and doing this, and we work together in that telepathic network. Speaking of that again, coming together and feeling each other, and a lot of us are connecting with so many amazing people, in lots of different ways in town here, or on Facebook, or through YouTube, and all of us just kind of just being on that wave, really being on that wave, being kind of equal balanced, like just able to understand and hear each other. And as we were like pulling in our different words, the same energy, getting codes from each other, it's just strengthening that network, strengthening that telepathic network. And this one woman said to me, like, when we meet other women that are or people, she said women, but people that are, kind of like using our consciousness to create our realities. It's like when we're in that space out on the edge where we're catching ourselves and we're using those new neural pathways. It's like we think of each other. We kind of like gather each other's energy, and it makes it even stronger and double. Like we're 2 or more gather, and it doesn't have to be like in person. It's just in consciousness in that network. So like just building and building and building, and I'm getting chills again. So anyway, really beautiful. These 2 cards coming together, but really all of these cards, because even this one is a symbol of that mastery. I mean, look at all those points, right? And then the channel. So yeah, really gorgeous energy. Okay, I'm gonna move into some oracle decks. I talked for 26 minutes. Okay. So this is the Illuminated Earth Oracle, which I love the name of it. I always have to show the pretty blue. All right, Illuminated Earth. So what else? Oracle card. What else do we want to say? What else? Are there other messages? Obstacle. Okay. All right, let me, because we've had all this message, and this whole reading has been messages about the obstacles being removed. So I just want to see, unless it's like, yeah, we were talking about obstacles. I feel like there's more to this. So let me clarify this. What else do we want to say about obstacles? Oh, interesting, because here's the 4 of Pentacles again. So this is a double message of stability, a double message of, just having our feet securely on the ground. I feel like this is kind of reading that message of like, we're stable enough now where we can move these obstacles, but I do want to get a little bit more. I'm going to do the Wizard deck. I'm just going to look at these a little bit while I'm shuffling. Yeah, oh, okay, yeah, that's interesting. Oh, I see what it's saying. Okay, so this is kind of interesting, because the imagery in this card, it's almost like he's blocking the way. Like, look at how, he's kind of like in this, like, I want to say alley, but like this channel, right? This canal where, there's something on both sides of her, okay, and there's water flowing. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, it's like, almost looks like a piano. It's funny because my eyesight is not so great, so sometimes I can like see things through like a different way, right? But anyway, it's almost like she's blocking the way. It's almost like she is the obstacle, okay? So what it's coming out with, clarifying, but there's also that message of stability. I feel like this card's presenting a little bit different, where again, this is kind of the obstacle. There's something in the way, right? But then it comes out with the High Priestess and the Ten of Cups. Okay, so this is just another illumination of what I was saying about having that dominant neural pathway be one of our default mode when we come up against an obstacle, and it seems like, oh, thou shalt not pass. It's like you're never gonna get through this. And so like the old way again was to move around all these pieces and to be like exasperated, like every time you fix one problem there's another. And for me, like with the animals, right? And then, but now it's like all of a sudden to be like, oh, wait, no, because it's this knowing, it's this, because we can affect our realities when we know that we can, right? When we know that the truth of reality is this is the Ten of Cups. So it's like, this is the heaven on earth. This is the garden. This is where everything flows. This is where there are no blocks. And if there is a block, it's easily moved. Like it's, because at this point, not only like me helping my son, because it went from like trying to move around pieces on the outside to help the animals to praying for him, for to have this communication open up. And then it went even deeper where it was like praying for healing for him, for that wounding. He's 20, so for that wounding. And again, that message of stability, where like it's time now, it's time now, like we're stable enough in these energies that we this is what was coming up in that last reading, where we can go back into those traumas and we can actually heal them and clear them, because we're not going to be, if we are re-triggered by them, it's only for the sake of moving the blocks. So that's what I was going to say. It's like, if there is a tower moment that kind of cracks us open, and or one of these, if we still, like him, kind of needs to go through this stuff, it's like that brings us to our knees, is only for the sake of removing these blocks. And so the time of just kind of like sitting down around them and being like, oh well, that's just how I am, I'm never gonna get through that, or like trying to like over function for people to like clean up the mess in a way or whatever. It's like, no, all we have to do now is just know that this is a time where everything is unraveling and where we're coming back into the garden and everything is collapsing into one. So once we know that and we acknowledge that this is what's possible in the energies, when we come up against something like this, a block, again, we can lean into that neural pathway, that knowing that like everything is possible now. And all we have to do is intend for it to shift, to focus on it, to focus our intention. So one of the things that happened at the ranch for me was there was a mama and a baby that got out. It got out, and they were like, and I couldn't get them back in. Like I tried all these different things, and I was kind of functioning. I was distracted because I had to feed the pigs, and then I had to feed the other goats, and I had to like do the duck water and all this stuff. And so I had these tasks. So I was sort of trying to get them back in, but I was also, so it wasn't until I was completely done with all the tasks that I wasn't distracted, and I was able to focus. And I just asked, like, let me get them back in with grace and ease, like quickly and effortlessly. And then I like immediately had an idea where I was like, oh, I'll just do this. And so I did that, and it like was effortless and worked. But it was like I had to kind of like intend to focus my energy. Like, okay, I'm not just gonna like, well, I tried stuff, and it didn't work, and let me go get my son and have him come back with me and help me, because I was there alone. It was like, okay, just like focus, because there's a solution. It's like we know there's always a solution. There's always a way through these blocks, like always, and we're always guided, and there's always aspects of ourselves, like I can tune into my Fey realm, and I can connect with the animals, and I can connect with nature, and I can connect with, and my son has that as well. Like he's really good with plants, and he's actually really good with certain animals, just not other ones. And so but yeah, it's like we have that access in our Akash, or in our parallel lives, or however you want to think of it, but that we can just pull through. So there's always a way. And in knowing that, and never falling for the illusion, or falling for lack, or oh, this is terrible or whatever, but just again bringing our dreams into fruition, focusing our reality. So again, how do you do it? You like her, how do you do it? You use your words, your throat, your speaking, your thoughts, your mind, your intentions, what you write down, which is also throat chakra activity, to give it a form. You give it a container. Even the cup is a container. It needs something. I had a dream once so 2 years ago, when I was like, oh my gosh, like, okay, we create our realities. Like, I got to figure this out. I got to figure this out. And so I had this dream that this man in my community, he brought me some chicken soup, because what's interesting is I was having sore throats at the time. I was having like nonstop sore throats, and I was like, why am I having all these sore throats? And then I was like, oh, I'm to be using my voice. I'm to be speaking, and I always speak. I've always been very expressive, but well, when I was younger, I couldn't speak unless people were agreeing with me. I actually had nodules, and I would have to do like voice therapy, like Hans hands hold, whatever it was, hearts, and Hans hands hold heart. Okay, and because I had so much tension because I wanted to talk about things that people couldn't really hear, but now I communicate a lot. But the message was like to speak my reality, to speak what I want. But I had to go through this, and I had to clear all of the all of the lack and all the programs and all the fear and all the conditioning. I had to go through like 2 years of that, right? And even if I could like see the obstacles, it's like I couldn't harness my focus. But so I had this dream that somebody in my community, he brought me chicken soup because I had this sore throat, right? And so and he just like dumped it out on the table, like on this desk, and I was like, oh, and I just kind of looked at him, and he looked at me like, because he's kind of like a medicine man type of guy. He just lives down the road from me, and is the partner of a dear friend of mine that I work with in sessions and stuff. And so anyway, and you're probably listening. And so anyway, he's kind of like a medicine man type of guy, really wired differently. And so he kind of looked at me like, well, are you going to get the lesson? And then I was like, oh, it needs a container. So then it was like, okay, I need to like choose my words. I need to choose my focus. I need to not give my thoughts or my focus or my energy to anything that I don't want to create. Coming back to that original meme I was talking about with the Black Panthers, like watch your shadow, watch the unconscious conditioning that you have, watch your mind, rewire your program so your default mode is one of knowing that everything is possible and that every block can be moved through, and that you have so much access through all your, it's like we have whatever you identify with, it's like for me it was the Fey realm, it's the galactics, and I also have kind of like a hell realm. I have like a hell realm life stream where like I'm very in touch with that energy, and I think because part of my mission here is to transmute in that realm. So I'm not like that afraid of it. I'm not really afraid of it at all anymore. Like I can have them like where I'm at down at the ranch on the weekends. There's a lot of like denser sort of like inverted energy around, and so I'll often have like energies come in at night, and I feel like they just kind of come in and stare at me. Sometimes they try to get me. Like the other night I was this weekend actually, I heard like get her soul. And but I wasn't scared because I just know they can't do anything. But I realized later, oh, they were trying to get my soul. I was like, but I woke up and was just kind of like, get out, and but they were like, but the upper soul, not the lower soul. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting, because it was like information for me, because I've been really aware of these like parallel lives or these life streams of mine that are just always kind of like right there on the other side of the veil. And I do have one that's like kind of in the lower realm, and it's almost like I'm trapped there in a way. There's some part of me that's just like trapped there. So as I'm transmuting the energy there, or as I'm transmuting like my own shadow, I'm transmuting for the collective, and like that like reptilian belt that surrounds the earth, just kind of like infiltrating that. But also just something I signed up to do, but it's also something that just kind of hangs around, and other people might relate to this. It might be, these things we might all have them, or maybe we have different ones, or, because I know we're all here on different missions, but yeah, there's that dark one, and then there's the galactic, really high frequency one. There's like the priestess one, the like Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Isis lineage, the divine feminine energy and the balancing of the polarity. So we have all these different life streams, right, and all these different sort of like missions that we're pulling from, and so they come to us when we need them. Like there's the one that comes through and it has to do with the animals. There's another one that comes through and it has to do with relationships or men or polarities, or and another one that comes when I'm anchoring energy, and then they can work together, like the high frequency one and the and the denser dark dungeon one, and just this configuration and this magic that starts to play when we realize that we have all this accessible to us, and when we start to, and again those arteries, the arteries from the heart chakra. And so there was another woman, I forget her name, Laura Hazel maybe, but she works with the whales and the dolphins, and so she was talking about, so there was another synchronicity with the heart, where because she was also referring to Judith's post, but she was talking about how like everything harmonizes in the heart. Everything harmonizes in the heart. So it's like, again, that thing I had in my meditation where this one was coming in, and where they were all kind of like coming together, and it was kind of uncomfortable, because it was kind of like, oh, I don't know why it was uncomfortable. It was like, like so many contrasting energies, right? So many contrasting energies, and yet it's like the Magician card. Like there's all these different elements, and there is a way to. I love it. My daughter often makes food when I'm doing these readings. It just works out that way. And so the timer always comes in like specific moments, where I'm like, oh, it's highlighting that there is a way to like to unify all of those contrasting pieces, and knowing that everything that we feel is part of our mission and why we're here, and that it's kind of natural where it just flows in when we need it. But the more that we can trust it, the more that we can trust it, and know that all of this is unraveling for us, and that we can literally just pull through, it just becomes kind of automatic. It is kind of fun to kind of track it and decode it, and to pay attention to like, hey, like, what is it that you are always drawn to, or what is it that you are always afraid of, or what is it that always interested you? And this was coming up in I think it was that last reading. Yeah, it's like it interests you because it is you, or it feels familiar, like me with the Fey realm, where I'm like, oh, I want that, I miss it, I long it. What is that? It's like it's you, and it's right there, and yeah, whatever we kind of long for and identify with, or the way we dress, or what we the movies we like to watch, or books, or whatever, if we're still reading and watching movies, but it's like, or our imagining, when we're in what comes to us in our visions. Is it Agarthian things? Is it dragons? Is it unicorns? Or is it more space stuff? Or is it science stuff? Like are we, do we think of things in terms of like just little glimpses into what our Akash was, what were we drawn to when we were kids? Like I recently connected with so I was really into crystals ever since I was really young, and I had two crystals that I got at the same time, and one of them I lost. It was a clear. I think I was like 7. The other one was a dioptase. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Like the beautiful green, earthy. Kind of reminded me when I was talking about this with the blood. With the green, that beautiful greenish, but a little bit more blue. And the way I perceived that stone, because I cleansed my stones this weekend down there, the ones I had down there, and I hadn't done that in a really long time. And I was feeling again that like real clear channel and communication with these stones. And that one was about purity, which is really interesting because I did get it when I was a child, and it was like I had this clear channel, and I had this connection, but it was innocent, and I had to go through all this before I could kind of like come into my power with this, and yield it consciously, and through a balance of the polarities where I could really be conscious and effective with it. But yeah, I forget why I brought up that stone. The child, oh, I don't remember. All right, I'm going to move on. I'm going to go into the Goddess of the Moon Oracle. I am saying a lot. Thank you for listening to me. I hope it's helpful. Oh, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, like what we were drawn to when we were young, and noticing because it means something, or how we played. It's like, did you play a lot in the astral because you were really in the astral? You were doing stuff, and you might have been playing out, like, because I played out a lot of like battles. There were battles in the sky, and there were like flying things, and it's like, that's from where I'm from. Like I was remembering something, and I was continuing it. Like we have so much power, so much that we access just naturally without noticing. So I think that's why I'm bringing it up. It's like we can kind of take it for granted because it just feels like us. It's just something that we do. But if we want, and it does happen naturally, where it can just kind of once we know, oh, my aspects come in and they help me, it will be natural, like to remove these blocks when we just use our intention. But if we want to decode it, and we want to understand ourselves more, and get to know ourselves, we can just reflect, and I know a lot of us do that, but it's just kind of fun to talk about, or maybe for people that just needed a little reminder or encouragement. Just noticing, like me with the plants, like when I was younger, and just like talking with them, like what comforted you, like what soothed you, where did you like to go? Did you like to go through water, or even like what was in your hologram? Like, did you grow up in a family? Like my mom grew up on a farm, so a lot of things I'm doing now with the piggies, and like I'm like, oh my gosh, this was in my like. It was in my childhood. I used to hear about stories about the pigs and the slop, and and the cows. We don't have cows down there, but it's obviously part of what I'm doing here. Noticing those life streams, and knowing that we chose those for a reason, because we wanted to match what we were here to do to help us in our missions, and just getting as conscious about it as we want. And it's really fun and cool too. So, all right, so Goddess and Moon Oracle. I am losing my train of thought, but I'm remembering too. I'm remembering. Okay, interesting. Acceptance and discernment. It's funny because, like this deck I got, a little while ago, not that long ago, and I often get the same cards. Like there's so many cards in this deck that I haven't gotten to see yet, but this one comes up more than any. And, I think it's just an energy that we're in right now. It's also a completion card where, there is that discernment. This reminds me very much of what I was talking about this morning, where there were these two energies coming forth and coming together, and this one over here on the left, look, that one has more power, and it's almost like this one is like, oh, it's like receiving something from this one, where it's like, hey, so there's that discernment, and look, there's that, that kind of like cloudy energy too, where you're in the hands, like the two hands, and what's in between the two hands is this ball. Like here it's like unified. Actually, this card often comes up to me because I was dancing once, and I had this sort of vision of these hands, and they were gathering all these separate pieces. Oh yeah, there it is again. And they were gathering all these separate pieces into one, and they were bringing them into one stream, and they brought them into this golden ball, and then it kind of like lifted up out of, because that was when during that time where we were doing a lot of us were doing a lot of like really heavy purging and clearing, and like all the muck was up and you couldn't see anything. You're just like, I don't know, I'm so in my shit right now, I don't know anything. But somehow dancing is like that vision where it was like, just pull it all in, accept it all. Okay, so there's acceptance. Interesting, because that's what that's called. Accept it all, bring it all in, it's all okay, and again, collapsing all the life streams, even the dark one, where I'm like in the dungeon still, where I'm just kind of like, do I get to get out at some point, Not in this life. I'm not in this life. It's just a stream thing. Could be a memory, but I think there is a part of me that's still kind of there doing some kind of work. But anyway, bringing it all in. And so it's interesting. The card says discernment. I feel like the discernment is to like accept. The discernment, like you might be like, okay. Or even just what I was just talking about, like like discerning, like, okay, this is the this aspect of myself, the galactic aspect, the high frequency aspect, the priestess aspect, the blue lineage, the blue rose lineage, it's why I call it this. Channel that, because that's what I feel I pull from, when I'm bringing through messages. It is that heart center, that oracle, but anyway, and then the hell realm, or whatever it is, like discerning what they are, but then accepting all of them, they appear to be very separate, but they have a purpose together, and bringing them all in, together, and allowing that, like, this is almost like the light of that higher consciousness, where that everything is unified together, and within ourselves, but also within the world, within humanity, within the telepathic network. And so Judith was talking about that too, with the crystalline grid and the clearing of the arteries of the earth, and how it was connecting with these different countries and regions on our planet. The country, the realms of them, and everything unifying. So on all levels, it's fractals on all levels. And then of course, she didn't mention this, but obviously, that's galactic as well, because we're all working on this together. We're all doing this together because we all are together, right? We're all together. So bringing it all back in, knowing that everything is embraced and everything is a part of it. Knowing that. So really the discernment, being, you can see them as separate, only for exploration, to like understand the different energy signatures, understand their different parts, like that magician energy, where we're kind of like understanding them to utilize, okay, I need a little bit of this potion, I need a little bit of this aspect, a little bit of this aspect. Not that it's necessarily like a linear thing, but it's almost like a feeling into, like, okay, I need to lean into this a little more. Like today, I'm kind of like, really, I just want to like play with the flowers, and today I'm just gonna like sit and like download, and today I'm whatever it is, right? And having that discernment also in like how to work with these, but really the ultimate discernment is choosing to embrace it all, choosing to collapse it all back into one. Oh my God, I'm at 48 minutes. Okay, so that's really long. I haven't used. There are a lot of decks that I haven't used yet, and that's okay. I don't want this to be too long, so I think I am going to close. Let's see, what deck? Well, I reached for that one. I guess I might pull a couple, actually. But, okay, so this is my goddess deck. So let's see what comes up. We're going to move into a closing message. Lakshmi, fortune, exactly. So it's like the tides are turning, you know, it's like, again, this message is like, we've done this, you know, we've earned our points. We're like, you know, ancient beings now. We've collected our aspects. We've brought everything back, you know, we're bringing everything back into unity, into wholeness. And it's like, now is like where, you know, a time of good luck. Is it Uranus and Jupiter coming together? Is that what it is? I kind of feel like that might be what it is, or did that already happen? But at any rate, this feels like Uranus, and this feels like Jupiter. What card is that? 27, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Yeah, and look at all the light too. The light is very similar, and then also the light with the Empress. So again, that just kind of like when we're woven in the light of our own divinity, there's great fortune, and anything is possible. You know, dream the world into being. Here's that color again. You know, these same colors of the sacral chakra. You know. Leaning into that, leaning into our co-creative ability, calling it forth through the container of our words and our focus and our prayers, having our empty chalice, our clear channels within our hearts to be able to perceive this possibility and to step forward, you know, to step forward. I'm summarizing as we stabilize on this new path. Where's the other? There it is. Yeah. As we stabilize and get steadier, and we move forward more and more, you know, each week more and more. Hi, kitty. Can you see my kitty? Oh no, she's she's not in the camera view, but I was like, what is that noise? She's over there like pushing something around. Yeah, you can't see her. Anyway, yes. So stabilizing in these new energies, and my black cat validating that. I'm going to do one last card because I didn't use this deck. I think it's the only deck I didn't use. Yeah, it's the only deck I didn't use. Okay, last message. Healing. Okay, yeah, ultimate healing. And the ultimate healing is, and it's also a 5 card. So there's that change. It's like a great change is upon us collectively, humanity, and beyond the earth, because we have done that healing. Okay, and we're getting on the other side. You know, we're on the other side now. We're already on the other side. We're in this new terrain. We're stabilizing more and more and more. It's like every step forward, there's more healing. But with that healing, there's more creation. Okay? There's more creation, and there's more fortune. So thank you for bearing with me with all of my details and interrupting myself. And but hopefully that came out well. And I think there probably were a lot of transmissions and codes in that, because that's kind of the space I've been in. So yeah, equinox, and then the eclipses. Yeah, the eclipse next Monday, so I'll probably do the next reading right on that eclipse. So that will be really interesting. I think it's going to be a really, really interesting week. And so many people talking about how they're in this energy, and they're feeling this. They're feeling that they've done this healing. They're on the other side, and they're stepping into this new terrain, you know, collectively, all of us. And it's about fucking time, isn't it? Okay, so much love to all of you, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.